Mother May is brought to you by Peak. Peak original equipment technology is formulated with the same corrosion-inhibiting technology that protected your vehicle when it left the factory. It provides excellent protection against rust and corrosion to all cooling system metals, including aluminum, and is fully compatible with other extended life coolants. With its line of premium 50/50 pre-diluted and concentrated coolant specifically designed to match the technology and color requirements of your specific vehicle, and color cues on the packaging and label in a list of covered vehicles make it easy to identify the right match for your vehicle. Find out more information about all Peak antifreeze and coolants at peakauto.com. And Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, the first dynamic competition for drag racing fans. Go to dragracebracketbonanza.com. It's free. When the fields are set on Saturday night at the Route 66 Nationals presented by Peak, pick all your round-by-round winners in all 4 pro categories. Sign up at dragracebracketbonanza.com at the link below. So that was a nice change of pace for once. We actually were able to have some full on-track action here today. Had about 5.5 hours, about 5 hours, 44 minutes of green flag running, and we're only yellow for about 2.5 for various different reasons. Again, rain poked in towards the end of it, but there's also some major implications that came out throughout the morning and afternoon session here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Thursday practice, the last practice session before Fast Friday. Kevin, kind of take us through today's action and what you saw throughout your morning walking through the pits and the garages.
As predicted, it was a very frantic start to the morning because we have lost just so much track time, and today promised to be the one guaranteed day where it'd be completely dry, and not even that was guaranteed at the end. So everybody was kind of looking to get out in the morning and go do qualifying sims, kind of get out and do what they do, and it didn't actually play out that way. We had about an hour and a half of green flag running before we had our first major incident. Linus Lundqvist in the number 8 American Legion Chip Ganassi Racing Honda impacted the turn 2 wall. It looks like he just got too low going into turn number 2, clipped the concrete at the very bottom of the racetrack, and it just shot him up. Impact on the rear. The good news for the team is the chassis is fine. It's going to get a new gearbox, but the team is currently working on that now. The car did not take any further participation in the day. And then it was clean and green for a while. There was a nice little lull period in the middle of the day where all the teams were making adjustments because the plan was to do race simulations in the later half of the day, which a lot of the drivers we talked to today talked about their plans for doing race sims. And then once we kind of reached that period with about 2 and a bit hours to go, Marcus Ericsson had a massive incident in turn 4. Looks like he just got too low as well, impacted the outer wall, slid across, impacted the inner wall near pit end, and then hit the pit lane attenuator at the very end. Unfortunately, that car did not fare as well as Linus Lundqvist's car, and it will be to a backup car for Marcus Ericsson. And we got green for about maybe less than 5 minutes after that, and then we got stuck under a weather hold for the umpteenth time this week. And we got some more brief running in, and then Connor Daly, it looks like he had a upright failure on the car. He was able to get back to the pits relatively incident-free, but that caution flag was the end of the day.
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up right there. With Marcus Ericsson, from what I saw with the onboard cameras of that accident, he got loose already heading into turn 4, and by the time he realized that he had clipped the curbing down on the bottom, which once you hit that, you're pretty much along for the ride. You don't really get to recover from that, and if you do, it becomes a highlight reel for the next 20 years because you're not supposed to do that. So he immediately lost the car. As soon as the car was halfway around, he took his hands off the wheel so he didn't break his wrist, slammed the outside wall, came flying back down the inside wall, hit it nose first. That's probably what tubbed it, is because of how hard of an impact that was. You could see the bulkhead just got destroyed when they showed the side of that car when it was sitting in the pits, and then to insult to injury, he ends up clipping the pit attenuator at the end of pit road. First time we've seen that since Oliver Askew's crash back in 2020 at the 500, and that's what really sent us into the delay because it was already a bad enough crash, but once you hit the pit attenuator, it goes into full effect of trying to replace that, and with something that big and that durable having to get removed, it automatically takes you a long time to fix it. Not only that, the way he bent that safer barrier, that was a massive impact in turn 4. So to nobody's surprise, as soon as that car stopped, there was already questions of would it be a backup car, and then within the hour, it was already confirmed to some people in the media center that yes, that car will be exchanged for a backup car, and that is going to be a huge change to the structure of qualifying, considering that the 2022 Indy 500 champion is more likely going to be running a road course car come this weekend.
So a couple of notes there. First and foremost, it was Spencer Pigot in 2020.
That's right.
And Marcus Ericsson probably had the lightest impact I've seen to that pit attenuator, because usually it just springboards you into the track. And in a practice like this, when you're packed up like that, that usually means traffic is not far behind. So Marcus got very lucky that it was as light it was on the attenuator. Now, I'm not trying to dispel how big of an incident it was, because it was a monster incident, but it could have been so much worse. And Marcus is fine. He was checked and released from the care center. He was actually back in the garage area like maybe 5 minutes after the car got back. So he, all okay there. And as for the backup car, unfortunately, it could be a road course car. This is just speculation at this point, but Marcus Ericsson, that's a rough one, because we saw Colton Herta a couple years ago have to go to a backup car, and it was a road course after he flipped on carb day, and unfortunately it kind of was race over for him before the race even began.
Absolutely, and the same thing goes really for Linus Lundqvist. We talked about this yesterday. We expected the crash to happen yesterday because of how frequent people were wanting to get out on track and just get laps done. But coming into today, you knew eventually something was going to happen, especially with the amount of rookies that we have that have never raced on an oval, let alone an oval like this, just an oval in general. This is the first time they've touched a track like this. So we expected this to happen, especially for a rookie like Linus. Fortunately, the car was okay. That was a pretty minor incident. It was enough to send him to the garage because of the fact that he did really tear down that outside wall and bent the right side of the car in. But we expected that. But for a former Indianapolis 500 champion to have an accident like that late into the day, considering the amount of work that they've already done with the Andretti Armada, because he was already in a pack. And something that we talked about, if you know Linus Lundqvist and Marcus Ericsson, that's two Swedes that wrecked out.
And
Felix
Marcus's old car too.
Felix Rosenqvist was right behind Marcus when that crash happened. So you almost had all three Swedish drivers in the race get taken out in one day. So that could have been a huge story. Felix luckily avoided him. He had radio trouble at the beginning of the session. That took him out for about an hour. But man, oh man, what a crazy turn of events to really end up for day 2 of practice, as now we head into qualifying weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow is the magical day where a lot of fans, their favorite words come out of our mouths, and it's time to turn up the boost. So tomorrow, weather, I know that's been the big talking point. It's supposed to rain overnight, which means a green racetrack tomorrow. However, it is supposed to stop raining around 5 or 6 in the morning, and that should give us time to actually dry the track, and we should be going on time. Worst case worse, if they have to delay back practice a little bit, they'll just tack it on at the end of the day, because right now, time on the track is an essential thing for these teams, and I think all of the teams are feeling the pressure, especially the ones that are right now at the bottom, because we must not forget there is somebody going home at the end of Sunday.
And speaking of that, let's jump straight into the leaderboards to show you how today's event stacked up. Ending up P1 is Pato O'Ward in the number 5 car. Still unconfirmed whether or not that is the same exact car that he ran last year. Still big question marks about that. He ends up at the top of the board with a 228.861. That ended up being the 3rd fastest run of the month, behind Scott Dixon's first and Scott McLaughlin yesterday. Second, you're going to find none other than Scott McLaughlin. Really fast pace for him today. Alex Palou finishes 3rd. Colton Herta in 4th. Joseph Newgarden finds himself rounding out the top 5. Marco Andretti with an impressive run-up in 6th. And we talk about Linus Lundqvist. Now, he went out early in the session, but even then, he still ends up 7th fastest, and more importantly, had the fastest 4-lap average of the day. I don't think anybody touched him. If anybody, it might have been Kyle Larson at the end. I'm not sure yet, but regardless, at the time of about when the last red flag came out, he still had the fastest 4-lap average. Rounding out in 8th is going to be Ed Carpenter, 9th Will Power, and then 10th is the 2008 winner, Scott Dixon.
Yeah, so today didn't really produce the speeds that we saw on Tuesday in that brief session, or Wednesday, because we had Scott Dixon and Scott McLaughlin up there in those 229 ranges. It didn't see it today probably because the track was very hot, very greasy, and at the beginning of the day, very green. So it's not really surprised that we didn't see that eyeball popping 229 today, but Pato did do a 228, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the only one to touch that 228 mark, and he did it by 1.5 miles an hour.
Rounding out 11 is going to be Connor Daly. He ended up bringing what I believe was the last red flag after he had a bit of almost a hub failure or something along with an upright failure that caused the right front wheel to really stick out. That ended up bringing out the last red flag because it didn't rain, and then they pretty much just sat around waiting for the end of there. Rounding out the 12th is going to be the number 6 of Callum Ilott. 13th, you're going to find the 4-time champion Elio Castroneves. 14th, another impressive result for Dry Iron Reinbold with the 2014 winner Ryan Hunter-Ray. 15th, you'll find Marcus Armstrong in his first ever appearance at the 500. In 17th, the winner of the 100th running, Alexander Rossi, who actually had a big moment earlier today when he exited the pits, broke a half shaft. He lost about half of his track time as he went back to replace that. So a really rough start to them considering they replaced the engine back at the GP, and now they break a half shaft in practice before qualifying. That team has had to work overtime to get that car prepared. Rounding out in 18th, like I said, Marcus Ericsson, going to be in a backup car. That run is more likely not going to matter. 19th, you're going to find Felix Rosenquist, and 20th is Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, again, so when it comes to, because all our mindset right now is on qualifying, today is really kind of a mixed bag, so take what you want from the results, because some people were working solely on quality stuff, some people were working on race trim, and it's even more kind of jumbled because of all the different agendas that we've been talking about. So there is a lot of people up there that aren't normally and you wouldn't really expect to see. There's some people down there and you don't expect to see. And one of those would be Santino Ferrucci.
Absolutely. 21st, you're going to find Renus VK in the Ed Carpenter Racing Chevrolet. 22nd, you're going to find Santino Ferrucci. He had a lot of troubles throughout the day. He had only pulled about, I believe, less than 20 laps, so he did not see the track way too much.
And that seems to be a reoccurring theme right now because yesterday he didn't see many laps either. So the team that finished third last year, they could be in some trouble because they were at the bottom of the no-tow list as well, alongside Kiffin.
In 23rd, you're going to find Takuma Sato. 24th, you'll find Catherine Legg in the Dale Corn Racing with Rick Ware Racing. Back in 25th, you'll find Kyle Larson, who also didn't see much track time. He actually had an injury replacement at the beginning of the day. They actually started last night. They finished it in the morning. He lost about an hour of track time, and then he really did not pull too many laps. They said they're just trying to take it easy on the motor, not wanting to pull too many miles on that motor since they just put it in there. So they're really just kind of taking it easy and then laying into it once it got towards the end. And then Kyle Larson, who a lot of people thought might have had some troubles in qualifying because of the lack of track time, immediately goes out there and put all those to rest, running a 2:22 average, one of the fastest of the day. I believe it's top 5 in the 4-lap averages. Behind him, you're going to find the number 70 of Augustin Canapino. 27th is Graham Rahal, who had trouble in, I believe he also had a drive shaft failure as well. He tried going down the back straightaway, lost 4th gear, could not get it out of it. And then 28th, you're going to find Kiffin Simpson. 29th is Tom Blomqvist. And again in 30th, Christian Lundgaard, a really poor result for the number 45 car.
Yeah, the thing with the Rahal team is they're definitely doing a lot of split stuff amongst their 4 cars. I think Lundgaard's not really focusing on in terms of like 1 lap or 4-lap pace really. So I don't know again how much to read off of it today at least, because again it was very much split agendas. So I expect them to be further up. I guess time will tell tomorrow.
And then lastly, in 31st, you're going to find the number 30 of Pietro Fittipaldi. 32nd, the rookie Christian Rasmussen. 33rd is the number 18 of Nolan Siegel. And then rounding out the field, the one car that might be left out of the show is Stingray Robb, who's had such a struggling past 2 days. It was actually kind of revealed on what was going on. Originally, when he first made those runs, they were not happy with how the car felt. They took it back and made some adjustments, then realized that they didn't like those adjustments and made even further adjustments, which left them further in the pits. And then when asked if they're going to make qualifying setups, their response was, we don't even like how the car is handling right now. Why are we going to take more trim out of it and then send it out there with a loose setup? So very much struggling pace. They did come out there for that last bit of practice, but by the time they're ready to go out, we had issues with Connor Daly, we had the rain. They didn't get to see the track for about the last third of the session.
Yeah, so, and AJ Foyt Racing as a whole has kind of struggled this week, whether it is stuff that has gone wrong with the cars or just lack of outright pace, and I kind of wanted to highlight real quick a couple small things with the no-tow stuff. So, unfortunately, we had the IndyCar website pulled up to give us the no-tows. Okay. Colton Herta rounded out with a 224.182. Now, keep in mind, these are not the qualifying speeds we'll see because these are with race boost. And then second place, Kyle Kirkwood with a 223.387. And third, Helio Castroneves with a 222.852, which is a Meyer Shank car, but they have a technical alliance with Andretti. So Andretti currently tops out, the top three places in the Noto times. And then at the bottom, right now, we are kind of...
I only got the top 10 because once you got to the bottom, you had people who really were only doing 219s who weren't too much focused on their qualifying setup, so it didn't really matter.
So what I can pick and choose from the bottom is both AJ Foyt cars and Kiffin Simpson.
Well, again, he's one of those guys that only ran about a 2:14 or something like that, so he wasn't too much focused on qualifying. So I think that was more so him slowing the car down, getting into the pits. One guy I will highlight is Scott McLaughlin. I've been talking about him over and over and over again. He's been really fast all month long in the toes, and he's right now ranked 6th on the no toes today. So not only does he have a fast race setup, but he also has a pretty fast qualifying setup as well. This guy is not messing around. That is going to be a fast race car come racing. What the hell is that? Okay.
Okay, that was just a Navy helicopter.
I don't know why he's buzzing the tower, but okay. Anyways.
He's coming done here.
Hey, well, okay, before he hits anything, there's another one. Okay, so let's just get straight into the interviews, and then we'll wrap it up from there. But first, let's hear from our sponsors, Peak. What the hell was that?
Protect your vehicle with Peak Original Equipment Technology. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle.
You ended up 9th yesterday, going back for Dry and Rainbow. I believe Dennis talked about earlier this week kind of the amount of off-season work that you guys did to kind of prepare this car for this month. Just what kind of work did you guys put in, and how crucial was it to see it pay off on Wednesday and then coming into Thursday with what you guys had planned?
Yeah, I mean, the team does a great job. The attention to detail amongst that group is phenomenal. So, that's the good thing about focusing just on this race. They've done a great job with that, and I think we're seeing the speed in the car because of it.
We talked with Ryan about kind of where Dry and Rainbow stacks up. He talked about back on Tuesday, which Dennis talked about, the work that you guys did in the offseason getting ready for this, the fact that you guys don't have the resources as teams like Ed Carpenter or Andretti or Penske, but they're able to make it work. Where does this team stack up compared to the people you ran with the past, guys like Dale Coyne, guys like Ed Carpenter Racing, and even Andretti Autosport?
Well, I think they have the infrastructure and the people to run full-time for sure. I think some of the people there are fantastic, and knowing what they've done and seeing how they work every day, it's very, very impressive. And it's a fantastic group, honestly. They've welcomed me. So we'll just see kind of every day how it goes. I'm definitely impressed so far. I wish Dennis could run more, because I do believe that group could be capable of doing that. But for now, we're going to do our best we can to get him an Indy 500 win.
And I saw a little bit of a moment. I believe you had one with Scott McLaughlin getting into turn 1. There was a most notable one with Colton Herta. Have you guys talked at all about that, and what did you learn from those experiences, especially considering that Colton was not too happy with how that incident went down?
No, I guess you weren't too happy. No, we haven't talked about it. I don't think it was as deep as it maybe looked on TV. I've reviewed the incident. I don't really think I did anything wrong, but if he thinks that was a big issue, he can come to me and talk to me about it.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask the incident with Christian Rasmussen yesterday. You were pretty irate about it in the car. What happened out there that got you so upset with that?
It wasn't bad. I was just, what he did I thought was dumb, and I know he's a rookie, so I wanted to tell him that it was silly. He just made a really, everybody was checking up into one. He just made a really late move and made it, but didn't commit to it. So he just stuck me on the outside, which, I mean, luckily it's the first day practice and still pretty early in the practice session. We didn't have marbles built up, but it's an easy way to just get thrown out into the wall for me.
All right, yeah, so we just realized what's going on. They're landing helicopters over in Pagoda Pavilion, or the Plaza, because of the fact that it is Armed Forces Weekend, so it's been kind of a tradition for the Navy and the U.S. Air Force to bring out helicopters. They also bring out cannons to park at the Plaza as well, so that's what that was. I don't know why you decided to buzz the tower, but it is what it is. Regardless, this is going to be the last time you see me here. So as of tonight, I'm going to be driving north to Chicago for the Route 66 Nationals, but don't think that that's the end of our Indy 500 broadcast or coverage of the weekend. Kevin here is going to take the reins for our Indy 500, and they're landing another stupid helicopter, so we're going to wrap this up. He's going to take over our Indianapolis 500 qualifying recap. You will hopefully see Brody throughout the weekend, but
you'll be back on Monday.
I will be back on Monday for practice. So, like I've been saying. Okay, so if you like the content that we have, if you like these helicopters, be sure to subscribe to the channel today. Be sure to like, comment, share the video. Follow us on all social media pages down below. My name is Matt03 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok. I can't even think anymore. I don't remember the rest of it. Thank you to our sponsors, Peak and Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Be sure to sign up today before the Route 66 Nationals. Shout out to Phobius for the music that he's been giving us for the past week. And until tomorrow, this has been my Mac, and we will see you next time.